My name's Mike Ellis. I have a problem. I rescue, refurbish, restore and revitalise vintage drums, in particular Premier drums. In this programme I'll share with you my adventures, ups and downs, ins and outs, triumphs and tragedies as I lavish some TLC on vintage British drums. Welcome to the Drum Fettler.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Drum Fettler. Feeling a little bit under the weather at the moment, got a bit of lurgy, bit of snotty lurgy, and it got me thinking about the whole thing, that health thing, you know, treating your body like a temple. Well, I want to reassure you that the Drum Fettler is very good for you. It's a very healthy programme. In fact, quite coincidentally, I sent the show off to some nutritionalists for a test, and I've got the results back here, so I'd like to share those with you so you can be reassured about the nutritional value of this wonderful programme. Now, according to the results, it says this programme is made by a free-range drummer. It is low calorie, high fibre, no artificial colours or flavourings, gluten-free, no monosodium glutamate, totally orgasmic, made from a renewable source, suitable for vegans, whatever they are. It is fat-free. Oh, no, sorry. It's got free fat, zero carbon footprint, and that's because I always wipe my feet after I've been to the coal bunker. 22 minutes of watching the Drum Fettler has the same benefits as visiting a gym and cancelling a membership. The programme can be used to treat lumbago, dengue fever, dropsy, pleurisy, athlete's foot, scrofula and Tiller's bottom. It is a low carb, side valve, flathead V8 naturally asphyxiated, and it should be consumed with plenty of liquids and Monster Munch. So, there you have it. The Drum Fettler, probably the healthiest programme on YouTube today. So remember, you're an athlete, if you're a drummer, you need to look after yourself in every way possible. Oh, yes. Oh, that's better. Now I'm quite sure that you remember, with regard to the 15-inch yellow Beverley floor tom, that we were waiting for a couple of lugs that were coming from Tristan, my good friend, at Dramatic. Well, they have arrived, so we can put those on. But what's also come in is this. Whoa! Yes, it's a Beverley bass drum. Now, unfortunately, it's not yellow, but it's from another one of my good chums, Alan, and I think it's ripe to be turned yellow, don't you? Yes, of course you do. As I said, you never know what's coming around the corner, and this did. So I'll put this to one side. I'm going to have to put this on the back burner because I've got the other jobs to get done, but at least that's one less thing to worry about. So we've almost got a kit finished in yellow with the name Beverley on it, which is rather tremendous. The blue shimmer. Well, you remember I was short of a hoop. Well, fortunately I have acquired two Premier hoops in black. One is, well, you can see, that's obviously the batter side. I've got clamp rash there, and it's got another bit there as well, so the hoop was moved around, but I reckon that could be tidied up if needed. But this one I think is the candidate that is going to win, because it's in much better condition, so that'll be the one. I've also managed to find some scraps of blue shimmer, which I should be able to make the... see, look, it's already part of it cut to the right size, which is very nice. So that's the blue shimmer bass drum hoop done. So I can come to that, but first I need to get that bass drum taken apart and fully fettled, polished, loved and cleaned. Right, front and centre again is the red Resonator bass drum. Now what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to deal with some of these little gouges and dings that have appeared, and the big problem with a lacquered finish is you can't just spray it and you can't really re-lacquer it. I mean, you can, but the chances of being able to colour match this red, which is from, well, the early 90s, late 80s, with something new is very near impossible. So the only real option is to try and hide the dings and scratches as best you can, and that means polishing to get rid of the minor scratches, the bigger dings, just getting in there with a bit of colour and a bit more lacquer. So that's the first bit that I've tried. Now it's not by any stretch of the imagination perfect, but it's better than it was, because all these little holes here, well, they're not holes, they're little gouges, were showing the wood, the actual wood through. As I say, it's not a perfect solution, but it's better than nothing and looks better than it did, and with a bit of polishing, that's really the only way that we're going to deal with the scratches and marks. Now I should point out, if you do actually want to go for a complete perfect restoration, then it is possible, as I sort of tried to explain, but getting the colour match is the first big problem, because it might not match the rest of the kit. But what you could also do, and I feel it's only fair I should point this out, you could try furniture repairers, French polishers, because I have seen, not in real life but on the telly box, some absolutely unbelievably fabulous repairs that they've done to furniture, old antique furniture, but I suspect it's rather costly. One might have to have deep pockets or an everlasting bank account. Now what I'm doing is economical, and it fits within the budget of the client of said drum. So it's not to say there is no way other than just a bit of patching and, well, you're just going to have to live with the chips. If you want it absolutely perfect, it is possible, but it's not something I can do. Now it's quite a time consuming job, because I'll do one section at a time and work my way around the entire shell. This will take a day or two, because you've got to do a section, let it dry, and then come back and do the next section. Else desperandum, we must carry on. So I will. Now, despite being under the weather, I'm filled with snot. I'm really going to get this 15-inch tongue finish. So look, missing lugs. Lugs. Let's do this. Finally, all the lugs are on. Right. Next, missing mount. Mount is on. Now clean out the inside of the shell and give it a coat of lacquer. Okay, that's the inside lacquered, so we will let that dry and then we'll put the badge on. badge. Heads, hoops, rods. Got a couple of heads here that haven't been mullered too much, which will do the job. Also found a couple of very nice hoops. Unfortunately they're not Premier and they don't have the round rod holes, but that's all I've got, so they will have to do. I'm sure they'll work. It's done, it's finished, it's got heads, it's got hoops, it's got rods, it's got everything it needs. So there we are, the yellow 15-inch floor tom. Well, it's actually a tom really, but it's probably on the configuration what I'm aiming for. It will be used in the floor tom position, but we'll see how that works as and when we get the bass drum done, because yes, as you've seen, we have a bass drum. It's somewhere, it's over there somewhere, awaiting my attention. Now on this ear tom I have put square head rods on, not slotted, because that is just a personal preference. I also haven't put the internal damper in. Again, it's a personal preference, but whatever you like, you can have your way. That's how it works, you know. All it needs now, put this into a bag so it's nice and dust free and ready. So let's move on to something else, shall we? Well, the lacquering on the red resonator is done, so I'm going to leave that for a day or two, so it goes off nice and hard and dry before reassembling the drum, which means now I can start work on this. Yes, it's the pretty stuff. Look at that. Unfortunately it is an effect of the resonator inner liner that if the drum is stored in less than dry conditions, the gap between the inner liner and the outer shell gets damp, and these metal parts, which unfortunately after a while Premier stopped chroming, become, as you can see, quite corroded. It's become a major clean-up job. Yes, not a pretty job, is it? And not for the faint-hearted. But this is quite a tough job. I'm going to see if these back plates, particularly for the spur mounts, can be cleaned up and rescued. It's going to be a bit beyond the capabilities of the polishing wheel, so I'm going to have to resort to the brass wire wheel for this, because a tough job calls for a tough solution. That's the first one. Unfortunately the corrosion has eaten into the metal a little bit, but it's sound, it's functional, it'll do the job, so that will be going back on, and I think you'll agree it's a big improvement. This is the second one, and it's quite spectacularly f***ed. So it was so badly corroded that it's actually bending a little bit. It's not got the same rigidity as the other one, so that one we're going to file under bin and I'm going to replace it. All the metal parts, once they're fitted to the shell, will, along with the inside of the shell, will get a coat of lacquer which will discourage further moisture-based corrosion and damage. Okay, I feel like I'm winning, even though I'm still full of snotty lurgy. But, right, I've got all the shiny stuff shiny. The shell is drying over in the corner there, so we'll come back to that. That's the back plate for the tom holder. I think we'll smarten that up with a new coat of black paint. Oh, that needs doing. Anyway, yeah, we'll come back to the red resonator and on. But now, blue shimmers. So that's the bass drum taken apart. As you might expect, there's quite a bit of work to do. The inside of the shell is really quite badly scarred. The outside, it's a bit, got a few bits of rash and damage, but not insurmountable. 250 is, as you would expect, very badly cracked, but it's going to stay on because it still works, because it has its 39254 protector, and we all know how important that is to the functioning of this mount. So that means it's okay, even though it doesn't look very pretty. I can't stand around here talking about it. I better get stuck in and do it. Ladies and drums, I present to you all the completed red Resonator bass drum. All polished, all lovely and nice and shiny. The inside liner has been refitted. All the scratches have been dealt with and are now in the past. They're just a distant memory. All I've got now to do is polish up a few parts. We'll put the lugs and the mounts back on. Obviously replace the broken lug, and the L-rods, claws and the spurs are going to get cleaned up before they go on, along with the heads, and then the client can come and pick it up and take it home and love it longingly for a long time, forever. Well, the blue shimmer shell is now more or less done. I've got rid of the worst of the scratches, bar one or two. As you can see, that one, it's just too deep, it's gone too far into the wrap, and that would need hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and days and weeks and months of remedial work, and it would not necessarily guarantee a convincing result. So I've decided that's as far as I'm going to go with it, because that's all we have the budget for. Inside of the shell is, as you would expect, looking gorgeous and sexy and mahogany. Now we come to the hoops. This is the original hoop, and as you can see, it's in a bit of a state. Look, that's where the bass drum clamp was. You can see it's really quite knackered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tape off over the inlay and then do the work I need to do on the wood without damaging the inlay. This is the other hoop. which I'm going to be using. Got some scraps of blue shimmer here, from which I will cut the inlay, but obviously I can fix this hoop first and then put the inlay in. So that's the lugs on the blue shimmer. Now you will see that here we have the hurls for the 39250 socket. This has been added later. That's where the badge was, the vent hole. Fortunately the badge was sacrificed, so we don't have that anymore. But there is an L, in fact there's 4 L's there for a 389 dagger mount, which was what it left the factory with. That has gone missing. That is not there. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to put something on that, so we don't just have some holes just there, not doing anything. Also around here you can see there's 2 more holes here. That's for a 38351 mount for a cymbal arm. Again, there wasn't one with the kit, so we're going to put one up just to tidy up and hide the holes. There we go. You can see 2 tom mounts there. That's the 388 spigot covering the extraneous hills, 39250, and not forgetting 38351 cymbal arm mount. Tremendous. I just need to wait for the hoops to be done. They are currently recovering from some remedial surgery, so we'll have to come back to those at a later date. Get off my land. Well, that's it for another episode of the Drum Fettler. Hopefully in the next issue I'll be feeling a little better and not quite so snotty and lurgified. So until then, I'll bid you farewell and hope that you don't come down with the same sort of horrible snottiness that I've been fighting my way through. Quite heroically, I might add, to bring you this latest edition. Thank you so much.